So in this video, we're going to talk about what's better for RVers, e-bikes or the e-scooters. Because the thing is, e-bikes are all the rage at RV campgrounds, right? Everybody seems to have them. We love ours. This is not going to down talk e-bikes, but there are some people that frankly either don't have the space for an e-bike, and we'll talk all about how much space they actually do take and how much they weigh, which is a big deal. Some people, don't have the money. I mean, we spent around $3,000 to have these e-bikes, and that's not including the rack, which costs us even more money. So there's a lot of those things to consider. So we're going to take a serious look at these scooters and to see how you can have a lot of fun with these too.
Yeah, our friends at Turboant sent us this scooter to give our honest opinion of, and we aren't going to do anything but that. Honest opinion is all we're about. So we're going to tell you the pros and the cons, and I'm going to share with you also thoughts on those of you who are a little scared of the scooter, how it worked when the very first time I rode it.
We have rad power bikes. Love the rad power bikes, but if you're not familiar with e-bikes and you're thinking of them as being just kind of like a regular bicycle with an electric motor on it, it's a lot more than that, okay? These things, as you can see, are very bulky. Now, there are all different kinds out there. I particularly love this kind because it kind of reminds me of a mountain bike of my college days, right? Racing mountain bikes, and I do kind of treat it that way. So this thing can take a lot of beating, and it rides great. They're pretty fast. They can go up to, I think, like 30 miles an hour. Now the batteries will last on these around 16, 17 miles maybe. Depends on obviously how much you're using the battery. But the one thing that I will say is that they are very heavy. This weighs every bit of 70 pounds. And when you're having to store it, we actually store ours in the toy hauler section of the RV. Some people are able to, like if you have a fifth wheel, you can probably actually use a bike rack and put it on the back of the RV, which frankly would be ideal. It's kind of a hassle to put it into the toy hauler. But let's talk about the bike rack. This is kind of a necessary evil for this if we want to be able to take these bikes away from the camper. So, there's been many instances where we've been at a campground that's maybe 30 miles outside of town, but we want to take the bikes into town to go ride around and, and just spend a day kind of exploring a town. So you need to put the bikes on a bike rack in that situation. Again, this bike rack is very heavy and it's very awkward. So and we don't use it that much. I think it was, I want to say around $500, and we don't use it that much. And frankly, it's a pain. I've got to put it on the back of the truck, and then I've got to put the bikes up there, and I can do it myself. But again, it's a lot of work, and you got to strap them down, and you got to make sure. And this thing is made for these bikes. As I've said, both these bikes are very, very heavy. And when you're dealing with heavy weight on a rack like that, you have to have a heavy duty rack that has the specs to be able to handle the weight, or you could risk maybe losing the bikes, causing an accident. So you got to have the right bike rack. But just think about that really adds to the expense and the hassle, because I have to have some place to put this. I can't put it on the back of the truck whenever we're traveling with the RV. So I also have to put this in the toy hauler next to the bikes. Again, have I mentioned the word hassle before? Yeah, I think I've mentioned it a few times. So again, a few pros and cons to think about when you're thinking about e-bikes. Now, we chose this type of e-bike. The same company makes a foldable e-bike. A lot of companies that make e-bikes make foldable e-bikes. That's not my style. I wanted something that was more rugged, more, I felt like I could go off road. So that's the big reason that I bought these particular ones. But the foldable e-bikes make it to where you wouldn't need a rack. I've seen some people put them in the back seat of their car or whatever, and it makes it a lot more convenient. They're just not quite as heavy duty and rugged. So let's segue over to the Turboant scooter. Now the scooter is definitely something where if say that same scenario, we wanted to just go downtown and just go around and be able to cover a lot of miles and go to places, but just kind of not be in a car and have to find parking spots. A scooter would be perfect for that. Okay, so one of the great things about the scooter is that, of course, it breaks down and it's very compact. We're able to put it in the back seat of our truck. We could put it in the bed. You could put it in the storage bay of your RV. If you don't have a truck, or you could put it in the trunk of your car. It would probably fit in the back seat of your car. I mean, it's very compact. It only weighs 35 pounds. Now, in our case, we did have to take the handles off to be able to get it in and out. But that's really easy to do because they just kind of screw on. Now, this thing, it does weigh 35 pounds. Now, you could carry it like this if 35 pounds is too much for you to carry with one hand. But that is something to keep in mind. I love the little kickstand. So it just sits like that. And I'm going to get the handles out. Oh, the dog's in there, so I guess I shouldn't shut the door. So the way that this works is that you just kind of pull down on this just a little bit, and that loosens that up. Then you just open it up. I like to put my foot here. Then now you got to make sure that you shut this, okay? Shut that all the way, and then it's locked in place. And you just take your grips. And you may not, depending on where you put it, you may not even need to take the grips off. They do go backwards, so it's not righty-tighty. It's actually lefty-tighty. At least on that side it is. Okay, so we're good to go.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about like my take on the scooter, because I love the e-bikes. Totally comfortable riding them. They're easy. But I was a little intimidated at first by a scooter because you feel a little bit more risk of falling, right? I've been super impressed with this because I think it's the height. It has a nice height to it. And the width of the part where you put your feet, you can easily put both feet on and feel like you're stable. So the only thing you have to remember is you got to give it a push to get going. And that was the only thing. Once you get the hang of that, it is not difficult. It doesn't feel wobbly while you're riding it. It feels pretty safe. So if you're intimidated by it, don't knock it till you try it, because I'm a big fan now.
One thing I can say about this scooter is it definitely feels very well made. It's heavy duty. You'll notice it has a pretty wide footprint on this. So I mean, just about anybody could just kind of get up and go with this thing. Speaking of going, it will go. It says up to 20 miles an hour. I think it might actually go a little faster than that. Not sure. Maybe if you were going downhill. I don't know. Now, it does have another cool feature on it, which is a cruise control. And you really don't have to do much of anything other than keep a steady speed. I think it's 5 seconds. Check me on that. So if you're going along at 10 mile an hour and you've done that for a while, you'll hear a beep and then it will just keep going. The cruise control will go off if you hit the brake or if you try to increase the speed. It'll automatically turn off. But the cruise control is a nice feature if you're going on a long trek down a road and you don't want to try, because otherwise you feel yourself trying to constantly adjust the speed. There's no need to do that with the cruise control. It's very nice. Now, the tires. Apparently this unit does enable you can choose whether or not you want pneumatic tires, regular air tires, or if you want, it's called a honeycomb tire. These are honeycomb tires. They're certainly much more rugged than a pneumatic tire would be. The downside, I think, is that they have a rough ride because it's a solid piece of rubber as opposed to something that you can maybe let a little of the air out to give it a little softer ride. Now, I don't know about the pneumatic tires, but I'm pretty sure that I read that if you were to get a hole in one of the pneumatic tires, to not even bother to try to change it yourself. It's gonna, not sure what they do in that case. So something to consider, something to talk to the company about, whether you're considering whether or not you want to get one or the other. So they say that the battery will last for 35 miles. We haven't driven it that far yet. I don't have a hard time believing that. I think that it absolutely would. And then, you can easily charge it. You don't have to take the battery off to charge it. Easiest thing I think to do is just to plug in at the outside of your RV or your house and just plug it straight in. But if you wanted to take the battery off for some reason or take it inside, you can certainly do that. As you see, it's super easy to remove, and then you just pop it back on, no big deal. So another thing, a claim that they make is that this thing will go up a 13% grade. I think that might be true if you're a little kid and you weigh 50 pounds. Otherwise, I mean, I probably weigh around 215. This ain't going to go up no kind of grade, at least without me doing this number on it, which, I don't mind doing. And I'd say if there was a downside maybe with scooters is that as compared to e-bikes, I mean, either one of them will go completely on electric power and you'd have to do almost nothing. But with the scooter, there's really no exercise benefit to it per se. This is literally just a way to get you from here to there. Now, it's a fun way to get you from here to there, but with an e-bike, at least you have the option of actually taking some of the electric power off and getting some exercise. Scooters, not so much.
So we wanted to give you 3 things we loved and 3 things that we didn't love about this Turboant scooter. So the first thing we loved, it's fun. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I didn't expect it to be, I thought I would be worrying about it the whole time, but it's super fun.
Coming in hot.
We rode it all around Devil's Tower. We're here in our boondocking spot. It's a great fun thing to have. Your kids will love it. You'll love it. It's a good family one. The other thing is super convenient. The fact that you can fold it down, pick it up, and take it into wherever you're going, and it can sit right now. Like if you're going into a restaurant or brewery, or you're checking out a city or whatever, you can just take it in with you. You don't have to worry about the locking your bike up and all that stuff. So the third thing we love is the cost. It's about 1/3 of the price of an e-bike. So if you're a larger family and you're looking at the price of e-bikes for everybody, and that's just a little too much to bite off, you could totally swing getting scooters for the entire family, and it will not break the bank.
3 things that I did not love about the scooter. Number one, I noticed right off the bat was I really don't like these grips. They're pretty kind of harsh on the hands, and so when we were riding around the campground a lot, I actually found myself wearing gloves. Not a huge deal, but I think they could have maybe done a little bit better job on the grips to where don't feel so harsh. Another thing is I really hoped that the ride would have been a lot smoother off-road. Now, I didn't expect to take it down like trails or something, but we were kind of hoping to be able to take it when we get to a potential boondocking spot and we needed to go down some trails. I wanted to be able to take it out of the truck and just, because it's so much easier to get to than the e-bikes, I wanted to be able to take it out of the truck quickly, go down a dirt trail, and I could still do that, but it'd be a super bumpy ride. And a lot of the reason is because it has these honeycomb tires on it instead of the pneumatic tires. I don't have the pneumatic tires to compare it to, so I don't know, maybe that would improve it. And then lastly, not a huge deal, but they say this can go up a 13% grade. There's just absolutely no way it could do that, not with me on it. Now, if you give it a little push going up the hill, it'll go up. You're basically assisting it, and you get some exercise, which certainly never hurt anybody. But to say it's a very different experience than going up a hill with an e-bike, which can take it no problem because you're pedaling in addition to it giving you electricity to go up the hill. Whereas this, if you have any kind of grade at all, you're kind of going, okay, here we go. So yeah, definitely not something that you would want to ride uphill.
Overall, we are loving our Turboant X7 Max Folding Electric Scooter as an alternative to using our e-bikes. The quality, convenience, and price make it a great option for RVers like us. Plus, they offer free delivery in about 5 days, lifetime tech support, a 1-year warranty, and a 30-day refund policy that allows you to buy with peace of mind. If the price, weight, and bulk of e-bikes just aren't for you, consider checking out Turboant products. They have options and price points to fit most budgets, Scan the QR code or head over to the video description for a special link that will earn you $160 off this scooter. Amazing. Thanks for watching, and get out there and ride like there's no tomorrow.